This is a chapter from Overshare, the links.net story. Find the rest at overshare.links.net. In 2004, I was offered the chance to apply to an interactive media program within a film school at USC, the University of Southern California. After years of writing about cool stuff that people did with computers, I was excited to learn how to produce software. Summer 2004, I packed up my life in Oakland, California and moved to Los Angeles to start grad school. My first semester at USC, I met a woman I was attracted to. I used this new service called the Facebook to look her up. Suddenly, a lot more people were introducing themselves on public networks. Between semesters, she was living a few hours away, so we arranged a lunch date, and I took my video camera along.
Okay, it's on. It's recording.
Back at home, I shared my excitement about this emerging intimacy in writing on links.net. In the early years of my website, I used text editors to hand type the HTML for my web pages. In 2002, I installed automated weblogging software called Movable Type. Weblogging software made it much easier to share my thoughts. I just had to type them into a form on a web page. Weblogging software also came with user comments. Suddenly, the folks who'd been reading my website and sending me emails could communicate with each other, and they began to use the forums on links.net to share their theories about my life. When I wrote about my new relationship, some of my readers said they'd seen me in love before. They'd read accounts of my prior relationships, and they were ready to say that they thought I wasn't a very good boyfriend, and maybe I didn't know what intimacy was. This was heart-wrenching. I wanted to share what I believed in. I wanted to share what I was excited about. But here, my new relationship was under attack by people I'd supplied with ammunition. My romantic partner didn't feel like being subject to this public scrutiny, so she asked me not to write about her. In January 2005, I turned the camera on myself as I had a bit of a breakdown.
I can't write about people. I can't write about people. They don't want to be there, and I have nothing to write about. I have nothing to write about if I can't write about people, and I have nowhere to go with all this shit.
I felt like I was cutting myself off from something very deep and important to me. This conversation with myself and with a cast of strangers and friends on the web. But that pain was less than the pain of not exploring this new love. I edited this footage into something I called Dark Night and posted it on the front page of links.net as I decided to stop updating the web on my personal life for a while. The San Francisco Chronicle ran a front-page story announcing my retirement from blogging. Some aggressive young men dug up my home address and other personal details that they posted to an online forum, encouraging people to find me at home and teach me a lesson. After making myself so vulnerable, I began to feel less safe on the internet. My front page became a list of social networks I was on and new media sharing services. So you could see music I'd listened to or photographs I'd taken, but strangers were no longer privy to my innermost thoughts. I was sad to switch to sharing shallower media outside of my personal memory banks, but I still wanted to be where the action was online. In grad school, I posted, poked, and friended on early social networks like MySpace and Facebook. Plus, I quested and guilded through massively multiplayer online games like World of Warcraft. I wondered if you could merge the two, where using the internet might earn you points and progress in a social adventure. So with some help, I created a prototype web browser add-on called PMOG, the passively multiplayer online game. PMOG allowed you to earn resources as you surfed that you could use to prank or reward people who followed in your wake. I learned that I could get money from investors who believed me when I said web browsers could become a new platform for video games. So, in 2007, I graduated, and with my girlfriend, we raised $2 million, moved up to San Francisco, hired 9 people, and launched Game Layers, a company developing experimental play across the web. A few years before, I'd been a freelance writer sharing my privates on the web. Now I was a startup CEO with customers, employees, and investors. By this point, my co-founder and I felt capable of any adventure. In the midst of Game Layers, we took a week off to get married in rural California. Unfortunately, the game we built was expensive to maintain. There weren't a huge number of people playing it either, and the ones who were playing didn't want to spend a lot of money. So as our investment dollars ran out, we had to lay everybody off and shut the company down. Within a few months, she was asking for a divorce. Working on Game Layers together left her not wanting to collaborate with me on much of anything. After changing my life, abandoning my art, and investing my soul in what was now a failure, I felt crushed and broken. I had quit writing about my life in public to be with this woman. Now that the relationship was over, I found my voice again on my website as I began to share pained poems about divorce and the end of a dream. In 2011, I was honored to receive the first ever Links.net Most Eligible Bachelor Award. My attempts at being married and starting a company had taught me so much. I wanted to share what I'd learned. So after the company failed, I took about 18 months to write up the longest and most thorough Links.net post ever. I posted financial statements and pitch decks and term sheets, plus 11,000 words detailing our attempt to turn surfing the web into a game and that game into a business. Then, a few years after the end of my marriage, I was able to tell my story of surviving that experience. I thought I would only get married once. At one time, posting a 15-minute-long video about my divorce might have seemed like crazy oversharing. But now the internet is filled with deeply personal divorce story videos. It's easier to share and less controversial. I like shaking things up and breaking new ground, but sometimes it's nice to express yourself and not attract too much attention. Making this divorce video was completely exhausting, but publishing it was profoundly cathartic. It was a chance for me to go back and tell my suffering self that I would be okay. Today, as I film this, I'm in a new relationship, but it's conducted largely in private. This woman has told me I could share more about her online, but I'm cautious and hesitant because I value the intimacy between us more than I crave input from strangers. Sometimes I miss not sharing my struggles in public, but I feel happy and grateful to have a loving relationship.
I felt that as you grew older, you got better judgment about what to put online, so it was less of a concern.
Treat yourself to more of Overshare, the Links.net story. You can find too much information at overshare.links.net.